Okay, so here it is. It's another Thursday afternoon. And look, let me tell you, it's been one of those days. Man, it's been one of those weeks. Rain delays, the weather, it's just not cooperating. Material problems. We've either been not able to order, or what we order we're not able to get enough of, or what does get delivered is damaged and not up to the standard that we're looking for. How about workforce? Man, I'm going to tell you right now, I've had issues with subs not completing projects when they said they would. I don't know what's happening. I've got my own internal. I've got a couple guys that have been sick for several days now. That's putting a little bit of a kink into the system. And then clients, right? All of a sudden, we got one client upset about the paint color that we just put in the great room. I mean, look, they chose the paint color, not us, but you know how it is. They see it up on the wall. They come home. They've changed their mind. It's not what they like. So now they're frustrated. You know, it happens. I've got another one all upset because they wanted their deck completed by this upcoming weekend, and it's just not going to happen. Part of the problem was they waited 2 months too long to even shop and figure out who they were going to even hire to build the deck, right? Unfortunately, guys, look, and this is a PSA for those of you that don't know, if you're in a certain market and the weather doesn't cooperate and you're trying to build a rather large deck, it can't generally get done in 1 week. Not also when there's inspections and materials being ordered, right? Things take a little bit of time. And I get it. It's frustrating. Poor planning on your part doesn't always constitute an emergency on our part. However, the frustration from the consumer is still there, right? Man, I'm going to tell you, every time I pick up the phone this week, it's like, duck, watch out. Here comes another one. Here comes a curveball. I mean, it's just, that's remodeling, right? Well, does it have to be that way? Because I'm excited, right? I got Irene. She's calling. And I've been looking forward to talking to her because I've spent the last month helping her with all her estimate process for this eco-friendly green kitchen that she's been desiring for some time. I've taken her to a lot of the vendors so that she can meet with them and understand the process and why their products are superior. And it's been time consuming. A lot of extra time and energy has been put into it. However, I'm expecting the payoff, right? It's going to work. We're going to land this project. It's going to be a nice project for us. And it's in the neighborhood that we like to work in. So it's all good until it's not. Because today, guess what? I see your phone number on my screen on the phone. I'm like, awesome. I take the call. And here I'm thinking, she's ready. Man, today's the day. We're signing the agreement. Finally. She's ready to pay the deposit. Yes. She's ready to put the job on the schedule. Perfect. We could use it. And you know what? The words that come out of her mouth are the last words that I ever would have expected to hear, other than my name. Hey, Mike, just wanted to say thank you. We really appreciate all the help. We've decided to go with someone else. But seriously, you've been amazing. I'm in shock that I've just heard what I've heard. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, what just has happened here? One hand is on the steering wheel, and I want to throw the phone through the windshield and then rip the steering wheel off and toss that as well. You got to be kidding me, right? How does this happen? And as I'm sitting there pissed, really pissed, at first at Trine for what has just transpired, I'm thinking she's going to hire us for the kitchen. Then I have to say, well, you know what, Mike? Why were you doing that? Why did you spend all that time for free? It's your own fault. Don't do that. You know better. It's not like that in other industries. Why are you doing that in this industry? And you know what? It's true. A lot of guys in the contracting world do things that don't make sense, and they only do it because they think they have to, or because someone else did it, or that's how they started, so they think they still have to do it, right? We do a lot of dumb stuff every day. Well, free estimates is one of those. And today I want to talk more about that.
Hello, this is the HackHour Podcast, a show where it's all about helping real, everyday, hardworking remodelers learn the secrets to having it all in life and business. And now, here's your host, Mike Menges.
All right, so welcome to the HackHour Podcast. This is a place where we help remodelers go from that crazy, uncertain place of being self-employed and wanting to have a business, but every time you try to make things happen, you just make more problems, right? To where we can actually help remodelers grow a nice, sustainable business where we have some processes and systems and all the good things and money and profit, right? So anyway, I'm Mike Menges, the founder of this podcast, longtime remodeler, and founder of the Remodeling Academy. So I welcome you, and I'm glad you're here. Today, we're putting a sledgehammer to one of the most accepted and painful and profit-killing habits in the entire remodeling industry, the free estimate. Like, it's so bad. Think about this. The word estimate by itself, you almost can't even throw the word estimate out without putting free in front of it. For some reason, when it comes to remodeling and construction, everybody just thinks estimate free. Estimate free. And no other industry really is it that bad. Most industries will do something like a quick, you can call and ask a question or two over the phone. But once it turns into some sort of a consultation, there's usually a fee associated, right? And as remodelers, we could learn a lot by just duplicating and emulating what happens in some other industries. So I'll give an example, right? If you've ever had to have an attorney and you have some sort of a legal issues, many of them will do a quick phone call just to get a sense for what's going on. And then they'll say, hey, the next step is you could come into the office. This is how much it is per hour. We could do this. I'll give you, I can do this part of it. You can hire me just for a consultation, right? But in our world, or some places they'll do like a diagnostic service, right? Hey, bring the thing to us. It's going to be X amount per hour, or there's a bench fee. We're going to take a look at it, and then we'll let you know what it's going to cost. So construction, for remodelers specifically, we would be much better served if we could follow a similar model. And I'll break it out a little bit more for you today. But at the end of the day, I want to ask you, how many times in the past month have you yourself driven maybe across town, around town, through town, and then you end up spending hours, right? Not initially, but at the end of the day, it might take more than an hour to put together, because you're measuring, you're researching, then you're typing and emailing, and you're getting together a whole package, and you're putting together numbers, and you're using all of your expertise and knowledge, right? And then what does the person that you just given all this to for free? They either want to, hey, is that really the best price? Because like the other idiots that I've had over here, they don't charge anywhere near that. They just started last week, their business. They have no insurance, but they're only charging this. So like, just because you've been in business for 10 years and you have a lot of experience, why are you charging that? Like, it's the same thing, isn't it? Right? Or they take your estimate and they show it to another contractor so that contractor can then like shave money here and there, beat it by 10%, whatever. I mean, it's frustrating, right? You give the estimate, then you don't even hear back from the homeowner anymore. Guys, it doesn't have to be this way. This industry can be much more enjoyable when you're being compensated for your time. So if any of this sounds familiar to you and it's frustrating, the whole free estimate gig, and you want to get away from that, then this is an episode for you, and I invite you to continue this journey. So again, let's call it what it is. The free estimate, man, it's a trap. Look, it's not just costing you time. It's costing you credibility, confidence, cash flow, and in some cases, could cost you the business. And what I mean is this. You start going down the wrong road from the beginning, and then you sometimes get so deep you can't get out. I have had people that I've given a free estimate to then write a negative review about the company. Like, how fun is that one, right? And sometimes it's really because I failed to do a good job qualifying the person over the phone. Or I thought, I can make this work, right? And just because somebody calls you, just because somebody says they're trying to do something that you do, doesn't mean that you should jump and go meet them or even give them an estimate at all. You should qualify everyone first, all right? And anyone that I've spent time qualifying, I have marked differences, like much better more enjoyable. The whole process is amazing. When I don't, sometimes it is a disaster. And I guess it serves me right for not putting in and practicing the things that I know to do better. So here's where I'm going with all this. We don't want to always run around, give away our expertise for free. It's been hard earned, right? And there is a value to that. And the fact that I've done like 50 kitchens in the last year, when I meet with a homeowner to talk to them about their kitchen, I bring value. I can share a variety of experiences as opposed to the person who's just done 3 kitchens and they're new, right? They don't have the experience. They don't know all the little pitfalls and traps that I can help someone avoid. And there should be a difference in cost because the experience at the end of the day for the homeowner is going to be different, right? I'm not saying that every homeowner would want to go with my company or choose me, but the ones who want that experience that we can offer, they do. All right. So here's another way to think about this is we don't want to be joining and playing games with customers and be involved in their guessing game, right? We want to work with a professional customer because we're now a professional remodeler. The sooner that you call yourself a professional and you act like a professional, then you have much more likelihood of being treated as a professional. And by just you sacrificing all the time and saying, I'll do a free estimate just to get your foot in the door, you start to reinforce this little lie almost that like your knowledge has no value because you're not willing to value. Does that make sense? You're willing to give it away for free so the customer can just take it. It's not the best way to go about business. So here's the thought process. Look, if you keep operating in a way that's not beneficial for your business, you'll stay stuck in a cycle. Overworked, underpaid, ghosted, burnt out. And here's the brutal part. You're not losing jobs just because you're quote unquote too expensive. Sometimes you're just providing way more, right? And you're actually losing them because you're doing business in the old way. Your game has been elevated. Your expertise, the skills that you bring are up here, but you're operating your business as if you just started last week, right? And that's a way that favors the cheap client, right? It does. It punishes the pro. There's always going to be the chuck in a truck. There's always going to be, the guy who's operating out of the back of his minivan or whatever. And that's fine. But then there's also going to be the contractor who has experience, who has insurance, who can walk a homeowner through a nice, proper, professional process. And there's value to both. So anyhow, let's proceed. So there's a new way to go about doing remodeling that's going to benefit you for the long term. Again, this is for guys. This message here is only for you guys that want to stop being self-employed and want to run a proper business, right? And the new vehicle, the new way of going about it, it's what helped me get out of a trap. I'm not the only one that does it. There are hundreds of remodelers across the country doing it in one form or another right now, every day. And they're living a very nice life and they enjoy it. And they laugh when they hear other people say, you could never do that. That'll never work in my market. So what are they doing? Well, they've flipped the script, right? They get paid. I have figured out that you can get paid before you show up, right, with a tape measure and do all this stuff for free. You can get paid to estimate. Now, one of the ways I have found that worked really well for me, I use what is called the Spark method. That's something we developed over time at my company. Okay, and that's SPARK. And look, I'm not going to be able to go through every bit of it today in a podcast, but it's a blueprint for how you set your business up so that you're getting compensated for your time, right? And it is a much better exchange of value and works really well to grow a business. So it's something that I would say, if you consider yourself a serious professional in this industry, then you want to come up with your version, right? You need to learn our Spark method and then you tailor it. So here's what I can tell you about our method, our framework. It's a system, right, that helped me go from giving away free estimates to now to a place where I can present an option. There's a fee associated with it. And before we ever are even lifting a hammer, right, we are working with the client and we're being compensated for our knowledge and sharing that and helping them come up with their best solution. It's how I one night went and landed a six-figure kitchen, right, when all the other contractors were fighting and arguing over price. And they were all trying to figure out how to keep it in the like $65,000 range. And I shared with the homeowner that, well, it sounds like everything that you're looking to have done is going to be more around 100. And this is how I would proceed if I were you, right? And these are the things that I would do. And by the way, there's a fee for us to set all this up for you. So it's amazing what can happen. In my experience, we often think as a contractor that the homeowner wants the cheapest, because they will often even say that, but it's not what they mean. And think about this for a second. People want the best. They want good stuff. They want nice things. Now, not everyone has the resources to get all of what they want, but given the choice at the end of the day, most people will go for something nicer. Part of our job as a professional contractors and remodelers is to help them understand how they can get that nicer thing and how we work with them within the resources that they have or the resources that they're willing to allow themselves have available to them, right? Maybe we set up some financing, there's some credit, whatever. So understand this. Today, right now as we speak, there are remodelers across the country. There are guys that do decks, fences, bath remodeling, doing basement renovations, right? Building additions, kitchens, and they're all getting paid to estimate in one form or fashion because they've come up with a process for how they do that. And it's because they've all made the switch. They realized the value and the success in this business is not always giving away a free estimate, because then you're just jumping right into this mess with all these other yahoos, for lack of a better word, right? So the real question for you today is, what if you never had to write up another free, unpaid estimate again? Like, what if you only met with serious homeowners, buyers, prospects, clients, whatever you want to refer to them, right? People that just, they respected the process. They understood that you were the professional who's coming in to solve their problem. And they're going to pay you for your expertise. They're going to follow your lead. Sure, they have some input about this and that, but they want your input as well. And what would that do for you? Like your schedule. What would that do for your sanity? What would that do for the personal time that you need with your family? Maybe to go see sporting events that your kids, or, you know, maybe an after school activity for one of your kids. What would that do for your bottom line to just start being compensated, not giving free estimates 2 to 3 nights a week? I know for me, every Tuesday and Thursday, those were set appointment days where I was just running around, right, figuring out how to, those were the days to attract new clients, let's just call it, because they weren't free estimates, but that's how I was attracting new clients. So you guys, I mean, what days, how often are you doing it? What days of the week do you do that? And what would it be like if that time wasn't free anymore? So think about this, like, what would your business look like in 12 months from now if you started having consultations, let's say, and a process that started with a payment? Like there was some money coming in as you were saying, okay, I'll be willing to come out. For me, it worked really well. That's all I can say. And because that's what this new approach, this Spark method, that's what it delivers, right? It gives you some clarity. It gives you control. It helps with confidence. But it's only if you're willing to break free from the old way of thinking that, no, I have to give free estimates. Everybody else does. I'm afraid. What if I charge? What if I don't give them? No one will call me anymore. Believe me, they will. They'll still call you because you offer something special. And that's what makes the difference, right? And let's be honest with each other. Like, most of your competition won't do it because they're scared to death. And perfect. You want them there, right? There's a reason why half of remodelers go out of business in the first couple years. And there's a greater reason why less than 5% survive after 7 to 10 years. And it's because most guys make bad decisions from day one. Free estimates is one of those bad decisions. So when a lot of guys hear that they could charge, they think, well, oh, I just charge for an estimate, but I've tried that. And the homeowner says, no, there's more to it than that. And that's the key, right? You have to learn the process. So let's say that this all sounds great. And then you'll say, but it might not work in my market. And then I would say, that's fine, because not everyone is meant to lead, right? Not everyone is ready to be paid and compensated and charged for what they're worth. And for those of us that are, then you get rewarded. And for those of us that aren't, the struggle is going to be real, right? I'm not sure what it's going to take for each of you to get to a place where you're like, damn it, I want to learn how to do this. But if you're tired of being everyone's free idea guy, right? And the one who, have you had this happen with more and more homeowners starting to DIY stuff? A lot of contractors are getting called out to give the free estimate so that the contractor gets there. The homeowner has a much better understanding of what it's going to be involved for them to do the job themselves, right? Like, some of you might be experiencing that and you don't even realize that it's happening in the moment because you weren't even aware, because the homeowner's not telling you when they call you up, oh yeah, we're thinking about doing this ourselves, but my wife thought it'd be a good idea if we had a couple contractors come out and give us an estimate so we could, and we'll ask a bunch of questions like, well, how are you going to do this? And what would you take to, what's it going to take? Oh, and on your estimate, can you be sure to include the quantities and the dimensions? We want to make sure we understand exactly what you're going to give us, that material list, right? And you're like, okay, yep, yes, ma'am, sure. I mean, you're doing their job for them and they're very appreciative for it. Believe me. It's crazy, right? So look, some of you guys might want to be that public servant and maybe that's your charity. That wasn't my case, right? So if you finally want to run a business, right, and not just a job of being this self-employed person, then it's time, right? It's time for you to make the change. And there is a way. I'm presenting one way. There are hundreds of ways to do it. And we can shed light on at least 95 to 115 of them, and you can figure out which one works best, but I have at least one that works really well. And I'd say for most of you, it is time to maybe be open to learning a new method. So how could you go about doing that? Well, come on over, check out some things at the Remodeling Academy. If any of this sounds good to you, we'd love to help you. Now, I appreciate you all listening. If there's anything that we could ever help with, please let us know. Because look, at the end of the day, this business gets much easier when you step out of being your own obstacle, right? Get out of the way and stop being your own roadblock, right? Stop being the one that is crushing your goals from you reaching those goals. So there's help and you don't have to struggle. And I clearly remember what it was like when I was struggling. And I would have loved for someone to like grab me by the shirt and pull me and say, Mike, what are you doing? You got to stop doing that. And unfortunately in this industry, a lot of us were separated from others enough that they don't see what we're doing all the time and they don't see how we're making it difficult. But I guarantee you, like if we were hanging out and I was at your job site sitting on the tailgate watching you struggle, I'd pull you aside and go, hey Jim, it doesn't have to be like this. I mean, it could be a whole lot easier. It could be a whole lot simpler. So if you're wondering that, if you're saying to yourself, man, I wish it was easier, I wish it was simpler, then recognize it totally is and totally can be. You just have to be willing to take the next step to get out of your own way. All right. So I appreciate you guys here. It's funny, in the marketplace right now, there's a lot of talk. And so free is a choice and so is freedom. So you chew on that one for a moment. Look, guys, your success is ready for you. The question is really, are you ready for it? So thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Hack Hour. Really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, even send it over to somebody else in the industry that you think it could benefit from. We work together. Everybody can get better. There's more than enough business for everyone. Trust me. There's new people coming in every day of the week, and there's no reason why you should be scared of them. You should be working on your skills, getting better, and you'll have more than enough business than you can ever handle. All right, guys, take care.
Thank you for listening to the Hack Hour Podcast. It would be awesome if you would leave us a quick review on iTunes. To further your remodeling success, go to remodelingriches.com.